We're the Armed Attorneys, and today we're going to talk about how to legally purchase firearms when you are in another state. So you're not in your home state, you decided there's a gun you found that you really want to buy. And I think we'll start off just by saying the general rule is you're not going to be able to buy that gun. However, there is a very narrow exception for buying a firearm when you are in another state. So Richard, do you want to kick us off on this?
Yes, and so as Emily said, this is the exception to the rule, And we're talking about long guns only. This does not apply to handguns. So you could potentially buy a long gun in another state so long as you meet certain qualifications. And the important ones are that you are buying it from a federal firearms licensed dealer, an FFL. You are qualified to purchase and possess firearms and ammunition. So they're going to run, do a 4473. And kind of another important consideration to think about is that the firearm is legal. The firearm has to be legal at the end of the day in the state that you live in. Okay, so this is where the hang up is and why we see it kind of at the discretion of FFLs as to whether or not they want to sell you a gun or not. So can you talk about what we see as a practical matter? We don't see a lot of FFLs want to sell long guns to residents of other states because, they just don't know the law in every state.
Exactly. And so what we see is, this has to take place in person in order to be legal under federal law. So what we see is you walk into that gun store while you're on vacation, you found a shotgun or a rifle that you would like to have. This happens more with rifles, with modern sporting platform rifles in particular. Let's say you're in a gun store in Texas, but you're a resident of California or New York or New Jersey. You might find that Texas FFL dealer is really unlikely to go ahead and make the sale of, let's say this AR platform rifle to you, even though they have this exemption under federal law. Why are they unwilling? Well, it's generally going to be because they don't know. They don't know if it's a legal gun in California, in New York, in New Jersey. They don't want to risk their license to make one sale. So even though we have this narrow exception for long guns, we do see over and over and over again that it really is at the discretion of the store, and there are lots of stores who are just not going to risk it.
Yeah, and I get that question a lot. Hey, this store won't sell me a gun. Well, they have discretion under federal law. It's 100% within the discretion of the FFL if they choose to sell someone a firearm or not sell someone a firearm. And they gave them this discretion because sometimes you can't articulate exactly why or, have a objective criteria that would knock somebody out, but you just kind of get a weird feeling. Well, one, they want FFLs to say, okay, if you got a weird feeling in your stomach, we don't want you selling this person a gun. But as a practical matter, they may just say, hey, as a store policy, we're not going to sell guns to residents of other states. Even if they would be fully qualified, even, they can come up with a store policy, and that would be just as applicable. So what you'll see as a practical matter, you might see mom and pop shops sell, guns to residents of other states, following the law, of course. But our big stores will just kind of make these blanket prohibitions as a company policy. An example is, I believe Academy is doing this now, and there's a case coming out of this. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so actually Academy has been in the news for selling a firearm to a resident of another state. Unfortunately, that person they sold the firearm to used it in a mass shooting here in Texas. He presented a Colorado driver's license when he bought a long gun at Academy. They made the sale. And there's been a lot of litigation about the fact that they sold him a firearm which contained a magazine that in Colorado would be illegal. It's considered a high-capacity magazine in Colorado. And so it comes up now, is that a violation of federal law on Academy's part? The firearm itself was legal, but the magazine was not. And we've actually had a very recent court ruling say that's okay. Academy did not break the law. The firearm itself was legal. The magazine is not the firearm. So that was, in fact, a legal transaction under federal law. But you can see how I think lots of stores, particularly ones with really involved lawyers and in-house counsel, are going to say, as a practical matter, we don't make enough money on this to take the risk and to sell to people out of state because it really, this is some of the first times we're litigating these issues. It's too much of a gray area.
Yeah. So to summarize, in person, got to be qualified to possess firearms or ammunition, long guns only, and it's at the discretion of the federal firearms license dealer. So it's a gun store. It's not going to be a private individual. That would not be lawful. So long as you meet all those qualifications and they want to engage in the private sale, in the sale through the FFL, they absolutely can. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, hit the like button, consider subscribing, and join us in the fight against the anti-gun algorithm by sharing this video.
And we appreciate your questions and your discussions in the comments below. So until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.